to the Cold Kids Pod. We're back with episode 3 of season 3, and we are back in the Homerton of football. Merce, thank you very much for having us. East London's finest drinking hole. Is that fair to say?
I'd say so.
Geared up for the winter tournament that is not long away now, and that's why we're gathered here today, actually, to talk about the World Cup, which is just days away now. Feels weird saying that in November, but
sunny November.
It's sunny November as well. Yeah. So back again, Lewis.
Hello, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be back.
Very welcome in a very, very
snazzy,
beautiful, snazzy,
unbelievable.
But just absolutely.
There's a touch of rhyme about it.
Yeah, I get that a lot. What? Yeah, I'll be singing the outro later as well.
That's a positive, by the way.
Yeah.
Portugal 92.
Yeah, I think so. They didn't in the 90s. The early 90s. Not a huge representation of the World Cup. 94 definitely weren't there, which was the first one. Yeah, I was sort of living there as well, but like hell bent on watching. But yeah, this came up and it had to be done. Really,
it's so nice, so nice, lovely stuff. David Jones back again from Cold Kits as well, in a very nice France shirt from about 2 or 3 years ago.
2020.
2020 was it? Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous France.
Birthday present from you. Actually.
I was going to say from a close friend,
albeit
sweet.
2 months late, but we won't dwell on that.
And Merce, of course, in a fantastic 2002 England shirt, which just screams David Beckham, Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah.
What else?
For me, this was my, what would I have been? This would have been my 16th birthday present.
Yeah.
And the one thing I always remember about this tournament, weirdly, was Pele saying that Nicky Butt was one of the best players on the planet and making his team in the tournament. Long sleeve. Yeah. He's played a lot in midfield in that tournament, and randomly. But obviously, it's Beckham, isn't it? It's Greece. It's all those memories.
You have any exams that morning?
Yeah, I can remember.
Brazil, so I think about Brazil.
I can remember the Brazil game we had. I want to say it was English Lit in the morning.
Right.
Maybe was it one of the Englishes?
Yeah.
And afterwards, I'm just being like, "What the fuck is going on? Why is this? Why am I watching this on my tiny bedroom video recorder TV?"
Yeah. Oh, you had one of those.
Yeah.
2 in 1.
Yeah, 2 in 1. Yeah.
I remember watching the Nigeria game in the Cock and Pie in Ipswich before I started work. I was temping for Eastern Electricity at the time. I had a blue WKD and a fry up at about 7:30 in the morning. Yeah, and then went to work. I actually fell asleep towards the end of the game. It was such an awful football match, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was.
Both teams just needed to draw, didn't they? And it was just absolutely horseshit. So I do remember that. Yeah.
And then a full shift.
And then I don't know. I don't think
and still there now.
Going strong.
Same position.
Still temping.
Yeah, I don't think it was particularly productive, but good times. Cool. Right. Well, we're going to talk about sort of those shirts that really illuminated World Cups in years gone by. I've asked you all to come up with one or two, just to avoid some clashes, because I think there potentially might be one or two of us who pick the same shirts. But Lewis, do you want to kick off with your first choice?
Yeah. Mine's the one I really first remember. I've got it. It's actually now fiance. But first Christmas she bought it for me as well, so that's when you knew. But it's that Italy, that transition in Italy from the Diodora to Nike, and that it's just that first World Cup '94. Remembering that Diodora pattern as well. That's sort of all over the shop, blue collars, and they were slightly bigger. Got that as well, and it's sort of puffy vibe, which is great. And then into Nike, when I think I first started really getting into football and all the adverts, and that blue is just amazing with the sort of white collar and the white version's the reverse. And they didn't have. I don't think they had the manufacturer's logo.
We talked about this
no.
with the Euro 6 pod.
Exactly. And it was, and so you look back, because I think they've had Coq Sportif, then into Diodora, then into Nike, and there's something mystical about not having it, not knowing why.
When did they first have?
I think Euro might be, if not Euro 96, 98 they do.
I
It's
think
a slightly
they do
different
96 because
But
they
that-
defo in the qualifying and Le Tournoi.
With England, of course.
You love Little.
Yeah. That particular
Chill
collar,
out.
that particular collar, which is like it's white, gold in the middle, and then that big blue collar. You can, and again, it's sort of most reason people listen and watch this, and certainly that's that geeky sense is you can find them with the swoosh, without, and there's always a little moment of if you ever see someone in it. There's a real passion for it. But I think, that first World Cup final would have watched properly. It's a bit of a drab match, but Baggio's, that golden Brazil kit always stays in your mind. But that was the first international kit I really wanted. It wasn't sort of England or Portugal I didn't really know something about. And I think that sense of, if you knew a bit about Italian football then, which I know we've sort of discussed before, that's a real feather in your cap as well. Because again, where are you finding it from? Is it Channel 4? You know, again to date us slightly. It's not everything at your fingertips. You know, you have to really know someone who knew about it. Or about it. So that Italian blue.
That's very nice. The logo thing is on the shirt. I just think it's really interesting, and it's really kind of feels like very old football. You know, like some of the kids. Who is it? The goalie who they'd drawn a number 1 on his back. I think it was in USA '94. I can't remember. I might be doing like Saudi Arabia or somewhere real injustice here. But they had to draw like a number 1 on an old T-shirt or something. I love that. I like that because it feels a bit more innocent, doesn't it? And
there's an element of Sunday League about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that everyone can relate to.
Yeah,
but, my link with yours is the Brazil '94 shirt. I think
which we have
the home shirt. Which we have here. I genuinely don't think it gets talked about enough.
No,
I want to make a public statement now that this needs to be talked about more. I think it's Umbro in its pomp. I think this is where they kind of they show their quality really. I mean,
so was this the '94 shirt? Was this come after? Because had they won? What was '94? Was that their 4th World Cup win?
Yeah.
Was their 4th? So this must be post '94.
No, that's '93.
I think that is
shirt. That's the shirt.
Because it's got 4 stars on it.
Yeah, that one might have been made
released
after.
So this is obviously the commercial shirt after. So they had Star added on.
Well, I think they wear that version at the Umbro Cup.
Right. Yeah. Probably
another great international tournament. Which
talking about Umbro Cup, funnily enough, it was England's incredible red shirt from
one of the best ever
that Ronaldo swapped with.
So there's amazing photography of Ronaldo, Juninho, and another Brazilian player. I can't remember his name. They obviously all swap shirts at the end, and they're all wearing that at Wembley.
So this is the red shirt with the huge.
It's the shirt that they didn't qualify for. The
kind of mod-esque collar, isn't it?
So big it's got a button, hasn't it?
Huge collar,
So that shirt is.
So this was never won an international tournament, other than the
only qualifiers.
The Umbro Cup, the quality Umbro Cup.
Only qualifiers,
Only qualifiers, and this is the shirt that Graham Massot scored that insane goal.
Unbelievable strike.
Oh
against Brazil.
It's the shirt that obviously a lot of collectors now want for the Women's World Cup, where obviously they had the red rose. The red rose shirt, I believe, is kind of based off of that. I mean, you can certainly make huge connections between the two. The women's shirt for that tournament is beautiful, so much so that they re-released it, rightly so, for everyone. A year or two later,
it
sold out.
Yeah, I bought that in a women's 14 to see if I could fit in it.
How'd you go on?
Not very well. No.
Have you got it here now?
Not with me. I've just got it on under here.
But the cut is different.
Yeah, very weird.
It's very flattering.
It looked great in it. It looked superb from behind.
Brilliant. It's an amazing kit. It's kind of a bit forgotten about, really.
So what is your pick in a minute? Is it
the Brazil 94? But the link, obviously, with Italy in the final. Brazil squad, incredibly old. Tournament. The average age was like 28, 29. Am I wrong? I had a quick look on Wikipedia, but
Ronaldo was in the squad, wasn't he?
Youngest player, 17.
Right.
Is he Ronaldinho at that point?
I suppose to a point he might be.
That's a good point. That's Ronaldinho, wasn't he?
Yeah. You've got Bebeto, who's like 31.
Well, and then coaches, I think Zagallo. Yeah, Zagallo. That's his 3rd winning involvement with Brazil, I think. So I think he's been a player, been an assistant coach somewhere else. The one before that they didn't win any in the 80s, did they? 78, Argentina. So they go quite a long time. 82 they might win. I can't remember. But they've gone quite a long time. But Zagallo, Zagallo's there, and he is, an extraordinarily sort of old man. And I think he still has a role in 2002. But everything was.
The goalie was old. Was it Taffarel?
But not as old as you think. Like I think he was like 27.
Oh, really?
Do you know where he is now?
Go on.
He's on the Liverpool goalkeeping coach staff.
Is he really?
Taffarel, He's got Alisson, got another young Brazilian lad that's in there. But Taffarel's been about a year.
Because he was Galatasaray's keeper, wasn't he?
Was he?
During that era, yeah. There's a really good Galatasaray documentary, and he features heavily in it.
Right.
Got an old Pro Star Taffarel colour. It's still my bookmark for
Wow.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I refuse to get rid of it. It's so crinkled.
Yeah.
And like colour's gone.
Amazing.
I used to love Taffarel.
It's the reason you haven't got
short sleeve shirt.
haven't got
Yeah,
a Kindle
yeah.
as well. It's just
No,
because you've
pretty
still
much.
got
I
that card.
refuse to use it.
It was a bit like that.
I can't use my Taffarel card.
These shirts were a bit mad, weren't they? Have I sort
Yeah.
of just misremembering that?
it's kind of
slightly?
like
They were definitely short sleeved and massive.
If you can get hold of that shirt, it's quite shiny.
right.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get, and obviously he wore short sleeve shirts as well.
Hopefully not going to hijack someone's choice, but
Yeah.
is that an Umbro thing though? Because Campos is his Umbro, isn't it? So
Yes.
that
Yeah,
era,
yeah.
are they going with the keepers in a Prem?
No, they had the templates in the Prem.
Right.
But they were all pretty mad.
Yeah.
But they didn't have, obviously in the Prem, no short sleeves. But
But
they
the
were like,
international stuff.
Yeah.
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 Really
I remember
good.
seeing the short sleeves at age 10 and just being like, that kind of blew my mind to keep, because you
I
just
didn't
weren't
like
used to
it.
seeing it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
did you?
I still
Right.
don't like it now.
No.
I still don't
No.
like it now. I don't think it should be allowed.
No.
No,
We'll say that for the controversial discussion.
I when I was a kid, I used to play goal a bit actually.
Yeah.
And I wanted padding. I didn't even like the idea that you'd just have no padding on the arms.
Yeah.
I wanted that on the shoulders
Science,
as well.
isn't it?
Science
Yeah,
laughs at that
That's
now.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
exactly.
Padded
Like,
trousers,
yeah,
like
yeah.
inevitably on Sunday
Oh.
league
On the
pitches.
knees,
Yeah.
on the sides.
But
yeah.
just
Oh.
weigh you down so much as soon as it
Yeah.
rains.
Yeah.
It's
Spongy.
ridiculous.
Absorbing
Yeah, the
all the
one
rain.
thing you
Yeah.
don't want.
If you landed in open water, you drown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way you'd keep a
When I
fight.
used to play in goal, I did play in goal a bit for my team when I was little, and I always used to wear trousers.
Mm.
Always. I think I did have the padded ones. I
It
think I
was the
eventually
fashion
got
as
that.
well, though. It
Yeah,
was
it
the
set you
Luigi
apart,
Carine
didn't
made
it?
it cool, didn't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or did he kill it? I think it's
Yeah.
probably the latter.
Well, I remember seeing Paliuka.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
always in the trackies and the big white socks over the top.
Yeah.
of it.
Oh,
That's
he
when
looked
I was like,
great,
this one's
didn't
done,
he?
didn't he?
Massive Aston Villa fan.
No, he's not. Is he?
Google it. Very random fact.
Why?
Something to do with when they were winning in like the
Google
European
it.
Cup in the early 80s.
Yeah.
He just became obsessed with Aston Villa. So
No
like he's a
way.
really, really big Aston Villa
That's
fan.
interesting.
Yeah.
That reminds me actually, we spoke to the guy who designed the Italy 2006 shirt, the
Right.
one they won the World Cup.
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
And I think he said it's either the away shirt or maybe it's the training wear. It's all in claret and blue because he's a Villa fan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rob,
No way.
Rob
Yeah.
Warner.
Yeah, it is,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Rob
Does
Warner,
Buffon
yeah.
have a claret goalie shirt?
Maybe
there is
that's
one.
maybe
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it
I think
is.
he
Maybe
does,
maybe
yeah.
it's that.
Because I
Yeah.
met up with him for another show, and
Another show.
uh,
Here he
Whoa,
is.
whoa, sorry.
Get that in there.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
stumbled me.
Yeah.
And he was telling us that the designer that he worked with was she was a Burnley fan, so it kind of worked. So they kind of both pushed for this claret and blue.
Oh, that's good. You definitely do that, though, wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah,
Before we used to run a football team together, and it was quite a smart badge redesign later. But the first one we were trying to really hurry something through to register for a league to get playing.
Yeah.
Really good mate of ours, Ben Barker's, he's a designer. But he, there's so many parts of the old Liverpool patch that's in there. And we had so many
Now you
Everton players.
mention it.
The old one. And he was just like one day, just pissed, leans into me, he goes, "Have you ever noticed that our badge is, dear faithful Liverpool?" I was like, yeah. So at every level, there's someone trying to crowbar a bit of influence on a bit of a schneidi badge. But yeah.
Yes, yeah, excellent. Good. Merce, what's your
Mine
greatest
is,
World Cup shirt?
and for me, this is what the World Cup is all about.
Okay.
Random nation,
Yeah.
never been there before.
Yes, perfect.
You don't know it. You know very little about them. But with this team, you did because they had some Premier League players.
Yeah.
But imagine me, 12 years old, St Helens,
Yeah.
going to the All Sports and asking for my birthday the 1998 Reggae Boys shirt.
That's a Maker 98
Yeah.
yellow shirt.
Made by Kappa.
Oh,
Yeah.
that collar's outrageous.
It's
as well,
amazing,
isn't
isn't it? It was one of those where I was just like, I've got to get that.
Yeah. Do you remember how much it was?
It would have been about 25 quid, I reckon.
Really?
Yeah, at the time.
Oh my god, how much do you reckon that shirt's worth now? In that condition?
That condition,
It's got to be, what, 150, 200?
yeah, up towards 200.
It's
I'd
an
say.
absolute...
So if anyone's got any Jamaica shirts
Yeah,
kicking
yeah.
about in the attic.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
what I can remember about this was they had quite a lot of Premier League players.
Yeah. Dion Burton?
Dion Burton played.
Yeah.
Robbie Earle scored their
Earle
first
scores,
goal
doesn't he?
against
Yeah.
Croatia. Yeah, they lose 3-1.
Because Croatia, was that their first tournament?
I think so. Yeah, it's their first World Cup. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Japan were in that group as
Japan
well,
and
weren't they?
Japan had that unbelievable literal fire.
Yeah.
Japan
Yeah.
kit
Yeah.
made by Asics.
Yeah, and,
And
then
they-
the Croatia shirts also.
Yeah. So that
So-
group
Wow.
is Croatia,
Wow.
Argentina,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
got those amazing kits in that, and Batistuta scores like a 10-minute hat trick against them, just rips them to shreds.
Yeah.
And then they beat Japan,
Yeah.
which is like
Yeah.
obviously quite momentous for them.
Yeah.
But then they've not been to a World Cup since. And if you watch any of the highlights of it, their coaching gear and their training wear is unbelievable.
Is it?
It's so good.
Look at you. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like unbelievable polos. They've got a Brazilian manager who's got an amazing cap on as well, like this unbelievable cap of polo. But that, was just, and it's something that I've kept up for all those years, and like in those years go by and stuff, you throw things out. But it's just something I never threw away,
Also,
and I'm so happy I didn't.
What size is it?
Yeah,
medium.
I was going to say, I've got 2 follow questions, and one of them is,
Well,
anyone listening, watching, I know personally, what I'd give to fit into something I'd have bought as a youngster.
Well, that's it. I've said it, I don't know if I said it before. This is
Christmas
a medium
on the way
as well.
Yeah.
So all the stuff that I've got from that age still fits, because I've been this size since I was like 13. So that when I was that age,
early puberty.
No, so at that age I was on like books at certain clubs and so on. But then just
as a keeper.
Yeah, as a keeper. But then just past 15, just didn't get any attention because I was this tall.
Yeah.
Which is just fucking bizarre. So I've got this amazing mad collect. Like I sent you guys some stuff this week, like that Wigan Athletic.
Great shirt.
Yeah, Tenerife 2000 that still fits amazingly. So
That's really
kind of blessed like that.
Yeah.
But
and
that is.
And I suppose my only other question was like, it must have been fairly unique to have had it.
Oh mate.
Like they can't. As in,
I can
it's
remember.
an amazing shirt, but in that sense of being young and being driven, what catches your eye.
Was there a big Jamaican
Like,
community in St Helens?
It's not huge. I can say that, but I can remember like a couple of my pals. My mate Rich Moran was obsessed with Brazil.
Yeah, of course.
One of the lads had that amazing Holland Nike shirt that Bergkamp scores that unbelievable strike against Argentina against.
Love that era of Nike shirts.
So good. But we'll talk about it later. Well, hopefully we can later on. But it's the real last bastion of individual country kits.
Yeah.
And no templates being used on a mass degree in a major tournament for me, and stuff like that just epitomised.
I think brands really had monopolised certain countries and regions by that point. Obviously, there was to a degree, obviously.
Adidas sort of did it in '94, didn't they?
Yeah. But it's the first real Nike World Cup because they don't have anything in 2000 in '94. Like USA's the Adidas jeans shirt and so on.
The wavy stripes.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah,
that's a great choice. That is such a great shirt. I think that probably is the shirt of the tournament, isn't it? I can't think of the Japan shirt was great.
Japan's one, Croatia's iconic, isn't it, from that era?
Yeah, that's sort of because of the fact it's a checkered design, isn't it? Which is different. But that shirt is so nice, Kappa as well.
Yeah,
it's just so of the time.
I'd love to know how Jamaica ended up with Kappa.
Yeah.
Because
let's find out.
That's it. Leave it with me. Leave it with me. I've not got anything else on. I'm just doing it.
Don't want to do anything else.
Don't want to do anything else. That's it now. All my calls.
Exactly. Oh, that's a fine choice. Well, I'll talk briefly. I probably won't talk briefly about mine because I've got a little story attached to this. But my first World Cup that I can remember was Italia '90, and everyone's first World Cup is their best World Cup, is it? Is that fair to say? I don't know. Maybe.
I think that's probably fair.
Certainly a contender. Because even Italia '90 was a shit tournament by if you look at how many goals were scored, the number of sendings off and bookings, and
bit of a drab affair, really.
Yeah, it sort of prompted the pass-back rule, I think, didn't it? Because of the way certain teams were playing. But for me, it's still like this incredible tournament.
Yeah,
obviously helped by the fact that England were really good in that tournament, and the Republic of Ireland as well, actually.
Yeah.
But my favourite team in that tournament was Cameroon. Because I don't know if I'd ever heard of Cameroon before.
Yeah.
And Cameroon, I think they played in the first game against Argentina. I remember the game anyway, whether it was the first game or not, I'm not sure, but Argentina were the reigning champions. And they played Cameroon, and it was in the San Siro. So everything was like, it just looked amazing. Like the San Siro looked incredible because it just got its new roof, which is obviously beautiful. We're going to lose the San Siro soon, which is an absolute tragedy. Yeah. And they were just like had this mental kit. And actually the team was sort of pulled together from I think some random second division French players or something.
Yeah.
So it was a sort of mishmash team, and then they wore this kit which was like this sort of bright green I haven't got it with me, which is a shame. I think we have had a couple in, haven't we, over years, but
wow.
Sort of two-tone green. It was like an Adidas template. I think Russia might have had it and some others, but two-tone green. It looked about 4 years out of date in 1990. I remember thinking that kit looks out of date already. And then they paired it with the red shorts, and I think it was yellow socks for the first game. Just incredible. I think they changed their combination every group game. I think they might have worn green socks and then yellow. They wore yellow version of it in the third group game. But anyway, they beat Argentina 1-0, It's in that incredible match where Canisius
absolutely foul.
He was my first
obliterated.
footballing hero, really. He was a Benfica in those early years, but and he gets absolutely chopped, doesn't it?
It's about 3 times.
It's a wrestling move.
But the last one is,
He loses his boot, doesn't he?
It flies up in the air, doesn't it?
Benjamin Massing, I think, is that he does the
Is that
final.
what it is?
Honestly, it looks like he stepped on a landmine.
Yeah, it's so.
I just love the way he
explodes.
staggering, like, I'm going to make this.
Yeah.
Benjamin Massing says, no, you're not, mate.
Yeah.
You know, he loses his boot, and then he's like, he can't believe he's incredulous.
Yeah.
He's offended that
It's just
magical.
Brilliant game, and then I think they win the next one. They get smashed in the last group game, but obviously they go through to play England. And during the pandemic, I think the BBC or ITV replaying World Cup games. I watched that game again, and England was so lucky.
You're really, really lucky.
Yeah, and I think Cameroon had that reputation probably because of what happened to Tunisia, that they were a bit brutal, but actually they were decent as well. They were playing really well. England were really lucky against
just
them.
almost like a lack of discipline towards the end.
Yeah, and there's a famous Bobby Robson quote after that game where we didn't underestimate them, but they were better than we thought.
Completely sincerely.
Yeah, and anyway, they wore that ridiculous kit, and I remember thinking, and the best thing about it is the badge. The badge is fucking enormous. It's like too big. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the badge is instantly, when you talk about your first World Cup, that's definitely Knife Force will have the sticker book. And it is the badges that really stick. And obviously there's Shiny or Panini or Merlin, whoever makes it. But it's interesting that because it is the badges for some reason is the thing that really sticks. I think at the moment there's a few. Belgium's an interesting example that they've sort of gone through a few, and last year was the 125th anniversary. I think we sent the kit around. But really like the intricacies of the Argentinian AFA badge with the flowers on the top, that sort of thing sticks to you when that first World Cup when it really lands.
Absolutely,
is a real that you think you can't shift. I can really remember in detail the Swiss badge from like the mid '90s, but it was just like it's a bit like the flag.
Great shiny.
Got that from geography.
Really good.
Fine. It's got a load of other little bits because of football and stuff.
So I think Cameroon is a great example because the badge looked too big for the shirt. It was almost like it had been. It probably was, to be fair, stuck on a week before the tournament or something.
Yeah,
I can't imagine it was widely manufactured.
No, and we were talking about we were talking earlier about those sort of kits that were thrown together. Now it's obviously so commercial, and it would have been done so far in advance, and that clearly wasn't. And I just love it. And also I love that there's a lovely story. This is what I was leading towards.
Great.
About that season, I think Napoli won Scudetto that year or the year leading up to it, possibly, or a year earlier, something like that. Yeah, and so and there was a very obviously big north-south divide in Italy, and Maradona very closely aligned himself, playing for Napoli, a big southern club, and later in the tournament, I think when they played Italy, he told Napoli fans to support Argentina. It's like the rest of Italy don't care about you, so why don't you support Argentina? Because he played at the what's the stadium called in Napoli?
I can't remember what it is called. The Diego Maradona Stadium.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The Sao Paulo.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Something like that. Yeah. And anyway, so he plays. The first game is against Cameroon in Milan, and so all the Milanese don't really like him, so they're all supporting Cameroon as well. So it's like creates this really sort of interesting atmosphere. And I can't remember what the exact story is here, but the goalkeeper for Cameroon, he got sort of pulled in at the last minute. I don't know if the original keeper was injured or something like that. And he was shitting himself. He didn't want to play. He was like proper. I can't do it. And apparently, the president of Cameroon, I think he's a presidential. Yeah, I think he's a president. Phones this guy up and is like, "You got to fucking play, mate. You got to play. Like, this is a big game." So he plays. His name's Thomas Sangolo, I think it is, and he has the game of his life. They win 1-0. I think it was 1-0. Unbelievable. Like, really, in the sort of history of World Cup games, that's up there with one of the biggest shocks because they're playing against the world champions.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's a kid watching this game who, I don't think he was in the ground, but he's watching this game on TV and he's like, this guy's amazing. And the kid then goes out and gets some goalie gloves. I don't know if it's literally straight away, but I'm going to say it is.
Yeah, that feels good.
He literally gets he turns the TV off, goes to the local shop, goes to All Sports, gets All Sports, yeah. Pulls some goalie gloves on. His name is Gigi Buffon.
Really?
Yeah, and later he goes on to have a child, and I don't know if this is true, but I want to believe it, and I'm going to believe it, and I'm going to say it's a fact. He has a child, and he calls the child Thomas, after Thomas and Golo.
Wow.
That's really good.
That's a great story.
Yeah, that's really good.
So if Buffon's listening,
Yeah.
Come on.
Just to prove the story.
To tell me I'm
Just to say that's completely
He hasn't got
wrong.
any kids.
Yeah.
And
All
in
Thomas
typical
Buffon.
typical journalistic style, you just
Yeah.
lied.
being sued for.
It's like it's actually his brother's called Thomas.
Yeah. Uncle
But
Thomas.
for the sake of this, that's a really nice story.
It's a lovely
It's really
story,
good.
isn't it? I hope it's true.
Me too.
I want it to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the sake of the story in the pod, it is.
Yeah. I think Buffon would have been about 12 at that point.
Nice, yeah, that's formative.
So, yeah, there's a point at which you think, am I going to play outfield? Am I going to play in goal? Maybe, you know.
That's amazing.
There we are. There we
Stop
are.
growing.
Yeah, stop growing.
Yeah, all those things for a keeper.
Should we talk about some other World Cup shirts? Any others?
If we're
that-
squeezing it in, it's not so
Come
much a
on,
World
yeah.
Cup shirt. When I was thinking about it,
Yeah.
it's the balls, and I know that I sort of mentioned, we've sort of done that with the Prem balls, but again, that first thing you remember, and again, I was talking about it with my partner, who even herself claimed, and her brother used to draw, I don't know, people themselves as kids or whatever, drawing a football with like the hexagonal black panels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is like the one. And I think
Yeah,
1970 is that Adidas Telstar, which is sort of what starts all the way up to the Tango, which is the absolute, which is sort of in the 80s. But that Telstars, so that's 1970, and it's a black and white patch because I know definitely in North America, I think most of Europe, like they go out and buy televisions in their droves in 1969 for the moon landing. Right. So like everybody's just on stuff.
Right.
This bloody
And so-
podcast is education.
Yeah. That was my one. There's a research for
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it was.
It's a science.
No,
It's
it was.
social history.
No, it was. But people go for it. Yeah. So like loads of people, especially the Americans, go really, really, really hard on personal TVs, having TVs in the living room and whatnot. So the Telstar comes out in 1970, so you can see it better on TV. Because it's the first explosion of World Cups being watched on the telly. And if you think about how, like, if you ever watched sort of Mexico 70 to like 66, you know, it's like Bobby Charlton and the boys, like, it's such a real massive difference in, and obviously black and white, and I've not been in that era, you watch it that way, whether it's, now, not even on the telly, like through your phone on the internet, whatever.
Yeah.
But that shift, and I still think most of it was in black and white, but again, being able to see the ball was that first one, and then Adidas obviously all the way up to sort of the tricolor, which I think was more of a blue than a black, but yeah, that first Tango afterwards that was used, and Adidas having that tournament, and that being 1970, the way I think I'd still even think about a football now, obviously.
Yeah, if you buy a gift card or something for
Right,
a kid, the football
and of
looks
course
like
it's that era. I mean,
you're
the
right,
football's way later on. I know people love that golden one, which I really struggle with.
Oh yeah.
Is it in
What?
2002?
2002, yeah, the champagne one.
Forever
It's not
Nova
for
or
me,
something?
No,
yeah.
but
I love it.
but yeah,
Because it matches the champagne.
Oh, with Bex's boots. Is that what? Okay, all right.
It's all that same colour,
right.
isn't it?
Those manias, yeah. But that, I don't know what. Definitely, again, I don't know most of this stuff when it comes to nostalgia, like the first one or who you watch it with. But that being the sort of nascent first era, not the first white footballs, they were used for years, and the slightly reddish ones. Yeah. But that patchwork, well, if you like,
yes,
sort of, in fact, his head, isn't it?
Yes,
old Charles' head. But yeah, that as a World Cup staple, those Adidas balls. That were always, it's really amazing, especially in the 90s.
They were always great. They loved the Italian 90 ball, which was sort of the 86. It was like the Tango, really, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was called. It had that, it began with an E, didn't it? I forgot what its name is now. They always looked so like, it looked otherworldly, I think. It looked glamorous and exciting and different.
And I think at that era, you wouldn't have been able to, as a mere mortal like us, you wouldn't have been able to kick one of them footies.
No, I know,
Because where would you have got it from?
No.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Here's
right.
one.
Go on.
Pre-Adidas, who was the last manufacturer to make a World Cup football?
Mitre.
So it's 66.
Yeah.
It's Slazenger.
They made the
That's
balls.
really good.
That's a
The
great fact.
the cup
Yeah, that's
final
really
ball is a
good.
Slazenger footy.
Really?
Wow.
That is mental.
Yeah.
So I always
Looks good
used to
just over the line, doesn't it? Sort of,
Yeah.
Really tells.
Yeah.
When I started watching football, I always used to, as a kid, I was obviously ahead of myself, really, ahead of everyone else. So I was used to ball. Why were the different clubs allowed to use different balls? Like Ipswich had that cool Umbro ball, which I loved. United had it as well.
Yeah.
Then you go somewhere else, it'd be a Mitre Delta. Somewhere else, it'd be Adidas.
The
Liverpool
league
Adidas.
wasn't sponsored.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's quite new. I think that's new. It's a relatively
And it was the
new
same in
development.
Europe. You'd go, when they played international European fixtures, it would be because
Selector
United
or
always
whatever
played with
it
the
was,
Umbro ball.
Yeah.
Really
and then
proud
like
of
you go to Italy and they'd have that. Was it All Sport? I think possibly. It was like always felt like very Serie A, that ball. I could just sort of picture it watching, Gazzetta or whatever. But, it was like this is sort of apropos nothing really, but it was just kind of like I remember at that time, even being a kid, thinking it's weird that they've got different balls for different teams.
Yeah.
Because even now, right, if Ipswich play in the FA Cup or whatever, they'll use that ball in training in the week leading up to the game.
You see that,
ball.
don't you? Yeah.
So I don't think so. As far as what we would have recognised in the Premier League, it wasn't actually they didn't franchise the ball then.
No.
So clubs who obviously had their own sponsors.
But the Mitre ball had the Premier League.
It did,
logo,
yeah,
didn't
the
it?
Delta,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that probably came in halfway through the league or something like that. And they'd obviously sorted out the sponsorship for it. But, again, fact checking, we probably need to look into that. You can add that into the byline underneath.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Post pod research. But a lot of that type of stuff it was still pretty open ended really. I mean, if you've watched it, I mean, I've watched them so many times over. I mean, it's my go-to. Like, I can't think of anything to watch. I just stick it on now. Fever Pitch documentaries on iPlayer, the birth of the Premier League. Like, they're trying to work out what they can franchise and what they can't, or how it would work and how it would be received by fans and stuff. And I think that's a big part of it as well.
So maybe the World Cup just did it, really early on. I mean, like say that Adidas connection, but that was balls. I thought were worth mentioning.
USA 94 ball was massively bootlegged as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, there was loads of them knocking around in terms of like there was just versions of it. It was quite an easy one to, I'm assuming, to replicate. The
right.
design of.
Okay.
Lovely blue, like stars and red in it.
Right.
It's not too dissimilar from France, not yet. All that.
They're all very similar, aren't they? From like 90 to
Yeah.
98.
Yeah.
And then obviously 02, you get the...
We had a family holiday to Italy. We drove all the way there.
Nice.
It was fucking miserable.
Yeah.
Very, very hot. But the silver lining was I picked up obviously World Cup 94 was happening at the time, so it was an amazing country for the start of it.
Yeah.
And picked up a ball from market for it for whatever it was at the time, probably less than a £5, and I fucking love that ball.
Yeah.
Lost it in the fern tree in the back garden. My dad refused to go and get it
Really?
out. Just
That
he's
stayed
lost.
That stayed
You've
with you,
lost
hasn't
it.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when he eventually got it down, and it was like all faded and everything. I kept it for ages. It was completely useless. Anyway,
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
good one.
What a shit.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, that sounds like a good place to stop. Obviously, World Cup coming up. Any quick predictions just before we finish as to who's going to win it? Lewis, you can't say Portugal.
No, I don't. I think both Portugal and England struggle a bit. I think it will be Brazil. The French look great.
Yeah.
But I do fancy, Brazil. I think it was just, and off the back of, I think just one video of them, the way they met in in the restaurant the last time they went for international duty. I just thought,
very together.
there's enough talent there. Then they sort of seem on it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
To be boring, I think I'm going to say the same to you. And
it's
It's from the same scenes. I thought
Was
that
it?
looks like a team that's just going to enjoy themselves and probably play very rough.
And wearing that shirt, sorry, does your turn if you like, but wearing a French shirt, they just somehow, I know they're obviously reigning champions, so they've done it, but they're just at the moment finding a way to sort of wind themselves up a bit more.
I'm not
but
really sure about France. I think
they
they could turn up and win it.
We haven't had a non-European winner for 20 years.
Is that right? Yeah.
Really? My thing, I was going to say, I think it's France's to lose, and I think they will, because they'll just F it at this point, like in terms of everything that's going on behind the scenes and stuff. And then I think you'll see Zidane France for the Euros in Germany in 2 years.
Yeah, good shout. I am going to go France. So fuck you lot.
England though, where do you think England will end up?
When
they get knocked out.
And I won't be the only one, but I've had a little look at this because I've worked out that last 16 and quarterfinals
You've gone for your wall shot,
really have.
Yeah.
Could end up on a Saturday in here, basically. Which I think September 3rd and September 10th. But top the group, assuming Holland do, Senegal last 16, which I think's the last 16. That might be a Sunday. But it's, second in the group, whether it's Wales or USA, played Netherlands. But it looks like France quarterfinals if England came top, which are just rankings-wise and the way they've played, they should do. If they come second, they play Holland, so it's pretty tough. But I think it's like a Argentina, Brazil semi could be on the card. So there's a few. It gets, as it has to, it gets pretty fruity. But September 3rd, September 10th is, a little.
Good.
Earmark that one
For an air.
Yeah.
Hope for the pub's sake, I want England to go all the way, obviously.
Right. I didn't know what way you were going to go. There,
but I can't see him getting
Mind
past
the
the
windows.
quarterfinal. I think. I think
Really?
it's just. I don't think I don't think I don't think they're positive enough to do it. And
There's
it'll
seemed
be
a lot of negativity, but I mean, name a tournament where England haven't been knocked down and there being negative conversation around it.
Yeah,
I don't think
06.
it's not in our way, is it really?
06 we were quite positive, weren't we? We all thought we were
The
going to win it.
media though, were the media that positive about it though? They never are going into it. They love that attacking your lot, bloody journalists.
Not anymore. Cool. All right, that's good stuff, boys. Thanks for that. Pleasure to talk all things World Cup.
Thanks for your time. Yeah, brilliant.
Cheers, lads.
Thank you.
thanks.